Alright, up for another review here. This is Ludo. This time we are covering another Unearthed Arcana Sorcerer power. Still like all of these. This one is the Sea Sorcerer. Now we've had the Storm Sorcerer, which deals with, creating storms and add a little bit more lightning damage to, so if you use a lightning attack and you get to do those cool things. This one, well, having some of the touches on this is different. This one, your heritage comes from powerful sea creatures or water elemental or something like that. So I'd almost say like a darker side of things, even though they mention naiads and they mention merfolk, just because of some of the powers. So let's dive into that. And well, before we dive into that, I think for those of you that really like thinking about what your spell casting is going to be, your spell casting choices, the Sea Sorcerer is the one for you, where you really have to figure out what you're doing, and if you do, it's going to be amazing. So the first, as you get lots of powers at first level, when you choose your bloodline, where your magic originates from, you get the Soul of the Sea. As you can guess from being a sea thing, even though the storm didn't get this, you get to breathe underwater, and you have a swim speed equal to your walking speed, which is pretty cool. They've granted us swim speeds before for a few things, water genasi, stuff like that, but then they didn't give us aquatic elves with a swim speed, and they said not, so I don't know why that is, but maybe somebody can point us to the fact to me on the comments. The other things you get is you get Curse of the Sea. And now this is really cool. So whenever you hit a creature with a cantrip attack, or when a creature fails a saving throw from a cantrip, you get to curse them. You can only have one curse up at a time against a creature. Once per turn, so every round basically, when you cast a spell, now by spell they mean not a cantrip. So it has to be a first level higher. Later on it says not a cantrip specifically. But you get to activate the curse. And different types of what that spell does activates the curse in a different way. So cold damage is one of them. There's 3. If the affected target takes cold damage from your spell, the target's speed is reduced by 15 feet, which is a huge number. If both that spell you cast and this would reduce the damage, the speed, you pick which is ever greater, or which one you want. It specifically says greater, so might not have a choice. But why you wouldn't take the greater, I don't know yet. And then we have lightning damage. If the effect target takes lightning damage, good spells to do that, like call lightning, lightning bolt, chain lightning. The target takes an additional lightning damage equal to your charisma modifier. So, as a sorcerer, you keep piling up your charisma modifier. It's not too bad. Here's the one that gets pretty cool, and if you did it right, could just absolutely make the difference in an encounter, I think. Is forced movement. If the target is moved by your spell, increase the distance it is moved by 15 feet. So, I mean, you can make them book the heck out of there and give you plenty of time. Especially if you want to attack them from a distance with your cantrips, or you have a warlock or archer. Seems pretty good. But that gives you a lot of different control and options with your spells. Now, that's all that you get at first level. But it seems pretty good. Plus the fun of having curses. You're cursed. That is cursed. And the fun role-playing you could do when you say it and stuff. Then you get another power at 6th level, as they do in the sorcery class. You gain resistance to fire damage, because you're all watery. You also gain the ability to defend yourself momentarily, assuming watery form. As a reaction, when you are hit by an attack and take weapon damage, basically, it actually, bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage actually spells it out. But then it goes into from a melee attack, so just weapon damage. You can reduce that damage equal to your sorcery level plus your charisma modifier. And then you can move up to 30 feet without provoking opportunity attacks. So, oh look, I got hit. I'm going to take less damage, and I'm going to move 30 feet away. And you can squeeze through tight spaces. You don't provoke. And then once you use this, you have to recharge it, and it recharges on a short or long rest. Now, going along with that ability, where you kind of go into a watery form, is where your 14th level ability comes, called Shifting Form. You gain the ability to enter a liquid state while moving. When you move for turn, you take only half damage from opportunity attacks. Then you can move through the enemy space, but you can't stop there because you have to reform, I guess, which makes sense. Then on your turn, you can move through any space that is at least 3 inches in diameter. So you go through a pipe, other things, cracks in the wall. You can't stop moving in there because once again you have to take full form. But there's a lot of opportunities there. And then your last ability comes at 18th level. That's specific. And then you bring the power of the sea with you. You gain the following benefits, because you're now a water soul. You no longer need to eat, drink, or sleep. You're just awesome like that. A critical hit against you becomes a normal hit, which is pretty good, since as a sorcerer you don't have a lot of hit points. And then you have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. And just like the barbarian, this doesn't negate if it just happens to become from a magical weapon. You just still have it. So you can stand your ground in combat pretty good. I think probably not my cup of tea as a sorcerer. I would like to see other people play it. I'd like to see their choices on their spells. I don't know how much multi-classing I would do with this. The idea of cursing things is cool, but having to activate the curse with that specific spell seems a little rough to do. But I haven't studied the spells as much. Don't usually play heavy spellcasting classes. But what do you think? Tell us your idea of a character you would like to do with this. Some multi-class ideas. Let's build this community. Thank you for listening.